Good afternoon and welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, July 10th, 2023. I'll call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. First item on the agenda, item 1.1 under Land Acknowledgement. The town of Coaldale acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot peoples of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot peoples past, present, and future while recognizing their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. The town of Coaldale is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, number 3. Agenda item 1.2, conflict of interest declaration, pecuniary and non-pecuniary. Are there any in the room this afternoon? None declared, thank you. Acceptance of the agenda, agenda item 2.1, the regular council meeting agenda for July 10th, 2023. I have one change. We're going to be removing agenda item 7.2, the West Industrial Area Structure Plan Bylaw 875-P-06-23. We were hoping for some more information to come in today before the meeting, so we're going to postpone that for a future meeting. And then also we're going to do one change. We're going to bump up agenda item 7.1 and swap it with 6.2. So again, we're going to swap agenda item 7.1 with agenda item 6.2. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? See none, could I get someone to make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Moving on to agenda item 3.1, the minutes from our regular council meeting minutes from June 26, 2023. Were there any errors or omissions in the minutes? Seeing none, could I get someone to make a motion to adopt the minutes from June 26 as circulated? Councillor Pickering, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We have a public hearing coming up at 5:05 p.m. We're just going to jump down to information items. Agenda item 12.1, the Coaldale Public Library, their July-August newsletter and calendar. Are there any questions, comments on that item? And then we also have the Chinook Arch Library audited financial statements for 2022 and the impact report. Any questions, comments on that item? See none, can I get someone to make a motion to adopt information items 12.1 and 12.2 as presented? Okay, back to agenda item 5.1. We have a land use rezoning bylaw 874-P-06-23, institutional, recreational, IR to direct control. And this is regarding second and third reading. And we have our senior planner, Hailey Winder, presenting. Hailey, when you're ready, the floor is yours. I'll call the public hearing meeting to order at 5:05 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Regarding the direct control rezoning bylaw, this portion of land subject to the rezoning application was originally purchased by the town in order to accommodate the Malloy Drain project. As part of the purchase agreement, any unused lands are to be sold back to the original owner. In early 2023, approval was granted by the Municipal Planning Commission to subdivide the remaining unused lands for subsequent consolidation with the original quarter section. Upon consolidation, those lands were to be redesignated urban reserve for the purposes of accommodating future urban-style development. Due to changes in land ownership, the applicant has requested that the subdivided parcel not be consolidated. In order to accommodate this request and ensure that the lands remain available for future development, administration has proposed that the lands be redesignated to direct control. Notice of the rezoning bylaw was advertised in the Sunny South News for 2 consecutive weeks prior to tonight's hearing. It was also circulated to adjacent landowners within a 60-meter radius of the parcel of land, and it was also posted on the town's online engagement platform starting on June 15th. At this time, town administration has not received any written comments or feedback. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Hailey. Are there any questions, comments for our planner? At this time, I would ask council if they have sufficient information. Thank you. I'll close the public hearing at 5:06 p.m. I'm trying to go through the agenda to see if we can find something that would just take a couple of minutes, but we don't. So Lana, I'm going to let you talk on agenda item 6.1, the Chinook Arch Library Board, the council term appointments.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn and members of council. The agenda item that I have before you is regarding our Chinook Arch Library Board. We were notified by the Public Library Services branch that we needed to make some amendments to our term positions for library board appointments that were decided at the organizational meeting on October 24th, 2022. At that organizational meeting, we did make 4-year appointments for our council to various committees at that time, based on that it is a 4-year term for council. And we were corrected by the Public Library Services branch that they actually indeed make appointments for 3 years and not 4. So my report before you is just to make an amendment to that, to appoint Councillor Saylor and Councillor Beekman as the alternate for the 3-year term ending October 26, 2025. And I'd also like to add, it wasn't noted from the Public Library Services branch, but because we also have our own internal Coaldale Library Board, that I would make a request to council as well to make a second motion resolution to that effect to appoint Councillor Beekman, who is the appointed councillor for that committee, to also be as a 3-year term ending on October 27th, 2024.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Lana? Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Lana, for this report. My question to you, Lana, is with regards to appointment terms. So if they're asking for 3-year terms commencing from October of 2021, that puts it to next year, right?
You are correct. Thank you.
And so with that, if we're kind of renewing their terms, say, for example, if there was sort of a by-election or whatever, we could appoint, council could make those terms eligible for the remainder of the term, which we could make a motion to appoint them for 2 years, which puts them right to October of 2025.
That is correct. And I'd also note that at the organizational meeting, which is conducted each year, that all of the council committee appointments are reviewed. And so if there is any ever request at that time to make an amendment for any of the appointments, we can certainly accommodate those at that time.
Just Mayor, would I just refer my question to you then? Would it be helpful if we made the appointments for the next 2 years? And that would fulfill our obligation, being that they're looking for a 3-year term.
So based on Lana's comments, is that something that we can deal with in October then?
We could do that then, or we could make those appointments now if we want. I
Let's
think
just leave
that's the question that we're being asked here, Mayor.
Let's just leave it till October, then we can deal with all of them at once.
And then we just, yeah, to make those appointments for the next 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the motions can stay, motion options can stay as is then.
Ending in October 27th, 2024?
Yes.
Yes, okay, yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking for someone to make a motion that, oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is for Lana. Wouldn't it be simpler if we had our board rep and talk to the rest of the reps from the library board or the Chinook Arch board, and they changed theirs to a 4-year appointment? It would align with council appointments. It would align with provincial elections, municipal elections. I think they're the ones that might be behind on their appointment lengths, not the municipalities. So I think they're coming at us where we should be going back at them and saying, no, you guys changed so it's a 4-year appointment.
I could certainly reach out to request, would it be amenable to include the resolution from today and then along with a letter stating to request to make that change moving forward for a 4-year period?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Avery. So based on that discussion, then I still need a motion that council appoint Councillor Saylor and Deputy Mayor Beekman as alternate to the Chinook Arch Library Board for a 3-year term ending October 27, 2024. Councillor Avery makes that motion. Any further discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. And then a second motion that council appoint Deputy Mayor Beekman to the Coaldale Library Board for a 3-year term ending October 27th, 2024. Councillor Pickering makes that motion. Any further discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. And then we need a final motion by Councillor Avery that our municipal clerk draft a letter to both organizations to change their terms to match or meet ours. That work for you? Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. So moving back to agenda item 5.2. I'll call the public hearing together, or call the public hearing to order at 5:12 p.m. And that's regarding agenda item 5.2, road closure bylaw 867-P-03-23. The purpose of this public hearing is for council to hear public input on a proposed road closure bylaw and review referral agency feedback. Once the public hearing is closed, administration will submit the road closure proposal for ministerial approval prior to it returning to council to consider second and third reading at a future council meeting. At this time, I would like to ask our senior planner, Hailey Winder, to present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you have indicated, this is the public hearing portion for the road closure to close to public travel those portions of laneway that are just south of the Civic Square Administrative Building, with the intention to accommodate the future development of the outdoor Civic Square space as per the direction of council. Notice of the road closure bylaw was circulated to adjacent landowners within 60 meters of the road closure. It was submitted to relevant referral agencies for comment, advertised for 2 consecutive weeks in the Sunny South newspaper, and posted on the town's online engagement software or platform. At this time, administration has received the following responses. ATCO Gas, Fortis Alberta, and TELUS Communications will all require utility right-of-way agreements, and they have been supplied to administration and will be sent up for ministerial approval. AltaLink and ATCO high-pressure pipelines do not have any objections or comments. Again, to reiterate, once the public hearing stage is complete, we will be submitting the road closure package for ministerial approval. And once we get that back, we will bring the road closure back to council for second and third. I can take questions at this time.
Thank you, Hailey. Any questions, comments for our senior planner? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 5:14 p.m. Moving on to public hearing agenda item 5.3 regarding second and third reading for the West Industrial Area Structure Plan Bylaw 875-P-06-23. And I'll let our senior planner, Hailey, present on that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The West Industrial ASP was originally presented to Council in March of 2022. At that time, after receiving feedback from landowners prior to second reading, a section of privately owned land was removed from the ASP area. That's indicated on the map that's provided in your agenda package. Just as a descriptor, it was the parcel located in the southeast portion of the area that was removed. Due to changes in ownership, however, town administration has received a request to amend the ASP to include that subject parcel back into the plan as originally intended. The notice of this public hearing was again mailed to adjacent landowners within 60 meters, circulated in the Sunny South News for 2 consecutive weeks, and posted on the town's online engagement platform. At this time, 1 comment has been received via the Civicit online engagement platform, and Cameron Mills can elaborate on that.
Thank you, Hailey. So we did receive 1 piece of feedback via Civicit from Jack Shipton. And Mr. Shipton provided commentary generally supportive of the proposal. However, also wrote the following. So overall, I think it's a fine proposal. This is a logical area to expand our industrial land base. That being said, I think there could be improvements made here, particularly in terms of open space and connectivity. The west side of the property is a prime area to add a strip of open space, somewhere for trees and perhaps a pathway. There are natural connection points to the wetlands trail system and Gem of the West Museum, and there's an opportunity to buffer industrial land uses. Think the walkway on the western side of the Lethbridge Industrial Park, but smaller. In the future, the proposed Highway 320 is going to shift where visitors enter our town to the north. This is an area of town where people will be increasingly entering our community, and I think buffering the industrial land use with public spaces, greenery, and trees could go a long way for our image of our community in the long term. It might not be a concern currently, but in the long range, it will make a difference. With respect to Mr. Shipton's comments, a couple of notes. First of all, there is in fact a green strip buffer on the west end of the area structure plan. That is in place. That's something that was discussed at length, I would suggest, during the original area structure plan hearings. And second of all, really what we're considering here is the addition of land in the southeastern corner of the area structure plan rather than consideration of the broader area structure plan itself, which was perhaps not clearly understood by Mr. Shipton in writing the comments. So it is my opinion with respect to this that amending the broader area structure plan in order to accommodate this minor change, which is the addition of the parcel to the southeast, is not advisable. However, it's certainly council's prerogative to have that discussion should they choose to do so.
Thank you, Cameron. Are there any questions for either presenter? Councillor Reese.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn, through to Cameron. Just for clarity, so along the 845, there will be a green strip though with trees and stuff. We've already discussed that, I believe, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions, comments? Then I'll ask, does council have sufficient information to make a decision to consider second and third reading of the West Industrial Area Structure Plan Bylaw 875-P-06-23? Seeing no questions, concerns, I will declare the public hearing closed at 5:19 p.m. Moving on to agenda item 7.1, the land use rezoning bylaw 874-P-06-23, institutional/recreation IR to direct control for second and third reading. And again, we have our senior planner, Hailey Winder, presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe I've covered all of the main points during the public hearing presentation, but I am again happy to take any questions at this time. Other than that, we respectfully request that council provide for second and third reading at this time.
Thank you. I'll open up to council. Any further questions, concerns? Seeing none, I will ask Councillor Reese, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn. I was going to move to make a motion for the second reading of Land Use Rezoning Bylaw 874-P-06-23.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor by Councillor Reese. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And then I need someone to sponsor third reading for Land Use Rezoning Bylaw 874-P-06-23. Councillor Chapman, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Hailey and Cameron. Okay, moving back to agenda item 6.2, the Policy Review Committee recommendations. We have our municipal clerk, Lana Anthony, presenting. Lana, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn and members of council. I'm very excited to present on this item tonight. A Policy Review Committee was formed by resolution of council at the April 24th regular council meeting. The committee was made up of 2 council members, including Mayor Van Rijn, Councillor Reese. Kyle Beauchamp is our Chief Financial Officer and Deputy CAO, as well as our CAO, Kaylin Hastings, and myself. It had been some time since the town had reviewed all of the policies in their entirety, so a committee was formed to evaluate all of the existing policies and provide recommendations. Many of the existing policies that were in existence were due to, not necessarily due to provincial regulations that would supersede them. And there was also a quite large amount of the policies that were human resource related, and they were not needed for, they were either irrelevant, or not needed, and they could have been consolidated in a human resource handbook. After review of the policies, there is a report before you to approve the existing 29 policies that our review committee felt that needed to stay, and to also do a second resolution to repeal the 97 policies that are no longer relevant. So it was quite a taking on of the committee, so I do thank you for your participation in that, and it's a really long time coming for our town, and I think this is a really great step for us to have. Once the policies are approved, then our website will be updated to reflect them all, as well as shared on our network drive, and also a hard copy retained in our vault for future use to come. I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have regarding this.
Thank you, Lana. And just on behalf of council, thank you for going through that painful process. There was a lot of very old bylaws that needed to be repealed and massaged. So I'll open it up to council. Are any questions, comments for Lana? Seeing none, I will require a motion that council proceed with the recommendation from the Policy Review Committee and approve the 29 policies as presented, and that council proceed with the recommendation from the Policy Review Committee and repeal the 97 policies as presented. Councillor Saylor makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lana. Moving on to departmental reports, agenda item 9.1. We have our Chief Financial Officer and Deputy CAO Kyle Beauchamp presenting on the annual report for 2022. When you're ready, Kyle, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks and good evening, Council. I have the 2022 annual report here. So this is based on the financial statements, which Council did approve April 24th of this year. So the financial statements are basically the numbers to our year end for the past year. The annual report takes it a step further and adds some commentary to kind of put it in a little more layman's terms as to what exactly happened this past year from a financial point of view. So this report is part of, or is the document that we do submit to GFOA every year for our financial reporting award that we've received the past 4 years. And we will be submitting this document again with the expectation that this document will qualify for the award again. So the document, and a big kudos to Tim Koba for putting this all together this year. The document essentially starts with messages from the mayor on behalf of council, administration, and then wrapping up with a financial summary from myself. We do have some quick little tidbits of information and facts in here, kind of make it user-friendly and interesting for the readers. So anybody who's interested in learning more about the finances of Coaldale, but may find the actual financial statements too complicated or perhaps intimidating, I'd recommend reviewing this annual report that will be available on our website later this week. With that being said, happy to turn it back to council for any questions.
Thank you, Kyle. I'll open up to council. Any questions, comments? Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just more of a comment, and I want to thank you and administration for all your hard work with regards to putting this annual report together. And I read through the whole thing over the weekend, and I was really pleased with the format and the content.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman. Any further questions, comments? Again, thank you very much, Kyle, for your presentation, and Tim for your hard work on this project. With that being said, I need someone to make a motion that council receive the 2022 annual financial report for the town of Coaldale as information. Councillor Chapman, any further discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Kyle. That concludes the open portion of our meeting. So I will require a motion that council move to go into closed session at 5:27 p.m. in accordance with section 197-4-B of the Municipal Government Act to discuss matters exempt from disclosure for items 13.1 and 13.2, subject to section 16, business interests of a third party. Item 13.2, subject to section 20, law enforcement, and section 27, privileged information. Can I get someone to make that motion? Deputy Mayor Beekman, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We will take a 5-minute break.